Hello and welcome to another episode of MacStories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Fetici, and we have picks. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. It's good to be back. How are you?
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to talk to you. I mean, we had a couple of weeks off, and we are back in the saddle doing our usual stuff at MacStories, including all of our shows. And this will be the very first one to be released of the things we did.
Yes.
We actually have had a big day of recording. Behind the scenes, we both recorded NPC and app stories before digging into Unwind.
Yes, this is the first one that comes out, but it's the last one that we're recording today. So it's good to be back on the shows. We had a couple of weeks off from the recordings, and I went to the beach. I played some video games. As we talked about on App Stories, I did some workflow updates behind the scenes. Spent a lot of time with Sylvia and the dogs, and it was fun. It was fun.
It was good for me too. And I think this time of year, I think it works out. August works pretty well for us for a break because my son Finn was home from Ireland, and we don't see him a lot. So got to have more time free to spend with him. We went, and one of Jennifer's sister's husbands had a big birthday party in Texas. I flew to Austin and then drove 45 minutes or so, or an hour into the countryside to a hay farm, which was a different experience.
Wow.
Spent a few days there celebrating his birthday and checking out the bales of hay and driving around in the hills of East Texas. And then last weekend, we went to the mountains. We went to Asheville, which I'm happy to report has largely recovered from the effects of the hurricane last fall, and had some great meals and, bopped around some of the shops, spent a day there, then went to a couple of other small towns in Western North Carolina on the way home. And it was just a nice low-key way to spend a 3-day weekend.
Nice. Can you tell me, John, about something that you did over the summer break, which is the MacStories Deals comeback, grand return after how many years? 7 years.
7 years. Yeah, MacStories Deals used to be, and if you go there, it's still there. I went and looked because when I did the artwork for MacStories Deals, which are social accounts on both Mastodon and Bluesky, I went and I grabbed the original MacStories Deals artwork from Twitter, because it was a Twitter account where we used to post deals of all sorts of and kinds. And we have relaunched them on Mastodon and Bluesky. I switched up the logo a little bit to kind of go with the theme, which is we are currently posting deals from both Amazon and with Apple deals, both movies, TV shows, that kind of stuff. And I think we're going to expand that. I've been looking into ways to do books with bookshop.org, which I think will be a nice way to add a little bit of variety, because they not only help us by making a little affiliate money on those sales, but they also put money back into local bookshops in the United States. And we have one of those here in Davidson, where I live, when I buy a book online now, I try to buy it from bookshop.org, whether it's an ebook or a physical book. And that way, our local bookshop gets a little cut, even if I am not buying it directly from them. So yeah, that's what we're doing. It's like 4 deals a day. They are handpicked. They're based on things that we use. They're based on brands that we trust and have a lot of experience with. It's not a fire hose. It's relatively low volume. As I said, I think it's roughly 4 deals a day right now, which I think is a pretty good balance between both the media deals and the gear deals. And it's just a good way for readers to kind of, it's an expansion on kind of what we've been doing here, which we've been mentioning deals, like media deals here on Unwind, and our setups page on MacStories.net, because that setups page is something we only update like 3 or 4 times a year. And we do roundups for things like Prime Day, and we'll do another one during Black Friday, I'm sure. But there are lots and lots of deals in between. on things that we use all the time. And this is a way to highlight them without having to do them as like set stories. When the volume doesn't really warrant a full story on MacStories, we put it on the social channels and people can find them that way.
Yeah, it's great to see MacStories Deals making a comeback. I have so many fond memories of MacStories Deals from back in the day, back when the App Store affiliate program existed, doing automating the deals for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like, it was a whole thing back in the day with the App Store affiliate program. And it was always that approach of like, there's a lot of deals, but I was always manually curating them and only picking the best ones. And we're sort of bringing that back, but into the more the modern age of whatever is left of Apple's affiliate program and Amazon for accessories and products and gear that, now that we have so many different devices and USB-C and video game handhelds, there's plenty of exciting new gadgets to choose from. And, if you can save a little bit of money, even better. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy you took charge of that project, John, and it's been going really well so far. Do we have picks? We have picks, right?
We have picks.
Why don't you share yours? Because it was going to be mine for next week. And when I opened the document, I saw that it was there. And I was like, but I'm glad you got to pick it. So
Yeah. This is a show on Apple TV Plus called Stick, which follows a washed up golf pro played by Owen Wilson. And I've always been a big fan of Owen Wilson. I think he's a great actor, and he plays Price Cahill, who is, as I said, a former pro golfer who discovers this young kid who's like 17 years old who can just whack a golf ball incredibly hard. I mean, he finds him on a driving range that he snuck onto, firing off these golf balls that are going incredible distances, and he takes him under his wing and he develops him as a pro golfer. And there's a whole bunch of great relationships here. It reminds me, it's almost like a subgenre on Apple TV Plus now, these kind of sports adjacent comedy feel good shows. It's reminiscent in some ways of a show like Ted Lasso, for instance. A little bit different than that because it's not really a fish out of water type of story, but it is a really fun story about a young kid who his father has left his mother earlier in his life, and Owen Wilson becomes kind of a father figure to him. There are 10 episodes. It's very funny. It's relatively short, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. We watched it over the course of like 2 or 3 nights, I think.
Yeah, we loved it. We watched it in like 2 days, 3 days.
That's about what we did too.
We binged our way through it. I really like it. I like Owen Wilson. He's got a very particular style of comedy that I think maybe not a lot of people are into, but I really like the guy. And a good story, has been renewed for a 2nd season, I believe. So, I am also bringing a TV show this week on Unwind, and it's Running Point on Netflix.
Also sports related. How about that? That's very unusual for us.
Very unusual. Also sports related. So this is a comedy series starring Kate Hudson, who I believe she's also the executive producer on the show, and has also been renewed for a 2nd season. I believe they're currently shooting the 2nd season.
Okay.
So Kate Hudson plays Isla Gordon, a sort of a former party girl who, due to a scandal, she takes the job as president of the fictional Los Angeles Waves basketball team. So this will be like a fictional version of the Lakers, essentially, the Waves. And it's described as one of the most storied franchises in basketball, in the NBA. And his brother, the former president, has this drug-related scandal, and he decides, instead of picking the other 2 younger brothers to be president, he picks Ida, who doesn't have any experience in a management role, but she's always been fascinated by the family business of the Los Angeles Waves, but she's always been sidelined, and that's sort of the key theme of the show. Sort of Ayla proving herself in this male-dominated franchise, but also in this male-dominated industry, and trying to prove herself as a woman who can be president of a basketball team with no former experience as a president or manager of any team. And it's sort of like, so it's like this sort of underdog comedy series where there's both family drama, because there's like these four brothers and this extended family. And so it's both a workplace / family comedy, while also having some elements of things like Succession, for example, but in a much more lighter tone, you know.
Right.
And we really liked it because it's fun, and I don't know, there were moments that like made us think about like the stereotypes, you know, some of the gender stereotypes in the workplace, in the office, and it's not like you don't really see the basketball being played, just like you don't really see a lot of football being played on Ted Lasso, for example, right? It's just the backdrop of the sport and sort of the context of what it is. You do see some basketball being played, especially at the end, without spoilers. But we liked it because of that blend of trying to, a woman trying to break this glass ceiling of I'm surrounded by men telling me what to do, telling me how I'm supposed to behave, telling me how I'm supposed to cut deals with other franchises, telling me how I'm supposed to appear in front of a camera if there's a press interview or a press conference. And you have that contrast between Ayla wanting to do things her way versus what the men are telling her how she's supposed to behave, how she's supposed to look, how she's supposed to appear. And it's all presented in a very fun and light way that we enjoyed. 10 episodes on Netflix. We also binged it in like 3 days, and we basically moved from Stick straight to Running Point, and so we've been watching sports related comedies for a while this summer, and they're making a season 2, so we're really looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I actually watched a bunch of other TV that was just really mindless stuff during our 2 weeks off that I wouldn't really recommend, but Stick is really good. And I kind of regret not watching Running Point because Jennifer worked her way through that pretty quickly. I think while I was busy with other things right before we took our break, so I didn't end up watching it with her. I do want to mention quickly our Unwind Deal. Although we are doing MacStories Deals, we are not giving up on Unwind Deals. And this is a pretty special one. It's Futurama, which all 10 seasons can be had in the Apple TV app for just $25. I mean,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good deal. 10 seasons. It's a ton of episodes. This is a series, an animated series that was created by Matt Groening and David Cohen, and they are bringing it back very soon. So you can get this and kind of brush up on your Futurama comedy drama space stuff right now by going to the Apple TV app. We'll have a link in the show notes. And I think that's it for this episode, Federico. So, as always, you can find the two of us over at MacStories.net and on social media. Federico is at Viticci, that's VITICCI, and I'm at John Voorhees, JOHNVOORHEES. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.